news media lies about Vladimir Putin and Brent Spiner. Because I regularly communicate with Brent Spiner and Vladimir Putin, and because my life's focus is to expose Jesuit lies, you will get the news that goes past the Jesuit-controlled news media about Vladimir Putin, Brent Spiner, Matthew McConaughey, Hugh Jackman, Gerard Butler, and the men on the marriage list through my writings, videos, and website. All the information that I'm telling you in this video, I've obtained through my online communications with Brent Spiner and Vladimir Putin. Brent Spiner is not the rich celebrity that he was in the 1990s. First off, Jesuit Loree McBride has stolen his credit cards several times and gone to town with them, thus stealing his money, then lying and claiming that because she's his wife, she has the right to his credit cards. Though Brent won't reveal to me what his financial status is, probably to protect his assets because Jesuit leader Zach Knight snooks on all of our correspondence and posts them publicly sometimes, my guess is he probably has about the income of a medical doctor who's in family practice. That would be my guess. And he is an MD, by the way, and he does a lot of primary care. He did invest some of the earnings he earned from his role as Data in Star Trek, but Loree McBride, she has stolen his credit cards and many times, and has drained a lot of his money because of this. She claims to be his wife. That's how she gets away with it, because of a marriage certificate that she created using a Jesuit Brent Spiner clone who has been executed. Clones get the memories and handwriting of the real person that they're cloning. And because Jesuits are always making new clones, I wouldn't be surprised if there are more Brent Spiner clones out there right now. For example, Loree McBride gave herself a birthday bash on June 26, 1996 at Spago's restaurant in Los Angeles. And of course, Brent was not invited to the birthday bash that Loree staged, because her sole reason for this bash was for me to find out about her, because she arranged for a news release of this birthday bash, allegedly written by Brent's mother. It was not written by her. Loree wrote it, which stated that Brent Spiner gave his girlfriend Loree McBride a huge birthday dinner at Spago's in Los Angeles. And that's how I found out about Loree McBride in 1996. It devastated me at the time. And because of that, I dropped Brent as a romantic interest and replaced him with Franco Nero. That is until Jesus told me in December 1999 with a still small voice to my mind at around 2 in the morning that Loree McBride was a Vatican agent. The Loree McBride Brent Spiner saga is complicated, so I'm writing about it in a book right now. I will say this much: he's never willingly and knowingly gone to bed with her, and she is a Jesuit agent and a terrorist, and has obtained her relationship with Brent solely through extortion and drug rape, and has tried to kill him and me many times over the years. After my divorce in 2001, the Jesuits instructed Loree McBride to become pregnant with semen she stole from Brent during her September 1992 drug rape of him at Paramount Studios. Brent also, don't believe the stuff you hear online. Brent did not die on June the 6th, 2013, because Brent communicated with me on Skype on June the 7th. As far as his stand on assault weapons, Brent jokes a lot on his Twitter, and it appears that somebody twisted what he said on Twitter to make it appear he took a stand on the assault weapons ban. I read what he wrote there, and I believe that only a retard would be dumb enough to believe the stuff that they're posting about him, claiming that he took a stand, I think, against the assault weapon, or I don't know. He wasn't. You would need to go to his Twitter to read what he really said. But what they're doing is they're out and out lying about comments he's posting at his Twitter and putting a title up at the head of the website. And I guess they're assuming that the public's not going to bother to check up on the and read what he wrote at Twitter. This may explain the increase we have in retards lately. Jesuit leader Zach Knight realizes his lies are coming home to roost, and he needs more retards in the world to maintain his lies. Also, Vladimir Putin was not married to Lyudmila Putin for 30 years. It's like big news now that he's divorced Lyudmila Putin. It actually happened. The divorce actually happened several weeks ago, and he told me about it. He married Larisa Putin in 1983, and Larisa died of a systemic yeast infection, not breast cancer, as Vladimir originally thought when he was treating his wife because she was really ill. In 2000, right after Vladimir became Russian president for the first time, that was in 2000, he was so devastated by Larisa's death, he would not have become president if Larisa on her deathbed did not make him promise to become president. I asked Vladimir about this because I'm writing a book about him and about all my men. And he said he became president to honor Larisa's death. She made him promise to become president. He was so devastated he wasn't going to even take the job because his wife just died. So Vladimir was really married to Larisa for 17 years, and it was a happy marriage from 1983 to 2000. Devastated by her death, he only found consolation when he fell in love with me. He posted a photo of himself in my local paper flirting with me on September 25th, 2001. I noticed he was flirting with me, and it was love at first sight. You say, what happened to Brent Spiner? Well, that was right after 9/11, and I was so devastated by 9/11 because I knew the Jesuits did that to keep Brent from me, and I just felt like I needed a president in my life, and then he showed up. And Jesuits had created a Larisa clone. You know, after Larisa died, this is the head of state of Russia, so they were a little worried about him. They wanted to make sure he married the right woman so that they could destroy him. The Jesuits have never liked Vladimir because they know he would never be on their side. So Jesuits created a Larisa clone in 2000 because they noticed through their mind-reading technology that he was falling in love with me in 2000. And then when we actually started communicating with each other, when I noticed him and the feelings were reciprocated in 2001, they extorted George W. Bush by threatening to kill Laura Bush to force Vladimir to acquire this Larisa clone that George Bush named Lyudmila to become Vladimir's legal wife, under threat of war with the United States. Vladimir planned to make a pioneer visit to the U.S. in November 2001 to meet me. Well, the Jesuits wasted no time to sabotage this, using George Bush to deceive Vladimir. The Jesuits actually wanted Vladimir to come to the U.S. because they were planning a massive propaganda campaign with Lyudmila. Though Vladimir didn't know it, he thought he was coming to the U.S. to meet me. So Vladimir planned to make a pioneer visit to the U.S. in November 2001 to meet me. The Jesuits sabotaged this, using George Bush to trick Vladimir, so that Vladimir ended up making what happened is the Jesuits released something into the USA Today paper that said that Laura Bush would be escorting Vladimir's wife, Lyudmila Bush, around the Texas ranch. And that's when Lyudmila entered the picture. So Vladimir ended up making the November 2001 visit with Lyudmila. Yeah, they changed the name of the wife. And actually, you know, in Vladimir's book, First Person, when it first came out, her name was Larisa. And then they omitted it and replaced all the copies that got shipped out. They probably did teleportation technology switch outs and replaced all the books out there that had the name Larisa with Lyudmila. Originally, when First Person first came out, the name Larisa was in there. But the Jesuits did switch out. And they can track everything. They're so thorough. Every book every first person edition that it came out in 2000 that had the name Larisa, they switched them out with an edition that said Lyudmila. So during his first U.S. visit, Lyudmila surprised Vladimir with a counterfeit marriage license that she popped on him during his visit with Bush. He noticed it was a forged signature. He says, "I don't even sign like this." But you know, the whole world didn't get to see the marriage license, because if he did, you know, if he pointed that out, there would have been war with United States. Vladimir didn't want that. So Vladimir would not pretend to the world that it was a real marriage license. Then Bush would declare war on Russia because Jesuits threatened to kill Laura Bush if Bush wouldn't force Vladimir, under threat of war with the U.S., to play their Lyudmila game. Brent Spiner has informed me that President Bush is not too smart either. His IQ is really not that high, and then he just got exposed to fart gas from Vladimir Putin. Last I heard, he's got the retard IQ. You say, how can he be president if he's a retard? Judging by how this country's been run for the past 20 or 30 years, I think it is possible to become a U.S. president and be a retard, unfortunately. So, I'm not going to go there right now. And then the plot gets much more complicated. Once the Jesuits inundated the Western press with the lie that Lyudmila is the Larisa that Vladimir married in 1983, then Jesuit agent Alina Kabaeva was used to help cement the lie even further, forcing Vladimir to go public and state that he is still married to Lyudmila, to cement to the public that Lyudmila is Vladimir's real wife. The truth is, Vladimir never would have had to marry Lyudmila in 2001 if he didn't fall in love with me. I had the genetic profile of King David and Catherine the Great, so any man, especially an influential or famous man that falls in love with me, immediately becomes a Jesuit victim, where they create a public perception that Vladimir could never love me, a 50-something middle-aged crazy cuckoo who thinks she has the genes of King David and Catherine the Great. Well, I do. And the Jesuits have known about it since 1957, when I was born. I'm also the great niece of Howard Hughes. This genetic combination in my Howard Hughes relative made me a threat to the Jesuits the day I was born on September 15, 1957. I'm only alive because Jesus has protected me. You see, I'm Jesus Christ's favorite. He actually told us that. I'm not sure why, but he says, Gail, you should know. I'm actually the Zechariah 9:15 woman. I'm even in the Bible. The woman with the King David genes. The real reason Vladimir has divorced Lyudmila is because she killed thousands at the Boston Marathon bombings, because the Boston Marathon was done to honor me with a Nobel Prize in physical fitness, a prize that I don't think I deserve, but that's why Lyudmila did the bombings at the Boston Marathon. The lies are getting out of hand, so I need to report the truth here in this video. In the book that I'm writing, I will show how the Jesuits used Camilla Alves on Matthew McConaughey to try to sabotage Matthew, who has loved me since 2005, and I will tell some surprising stuff about Hugh Jackman, Gerard Butler, and the other men on my marriage list. It's dangerous for any man to fall in love with me. As soon as they do, they become a Jesuit target. The Jesuits find the King David, Catherine the Great,